Good morning, Unleashed Lund loyalists. Thanks for tuning in live each weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. Remember, please like and subscribe and listen where you get your podcasts. Be on the lookout for Lund loyalists perks by joining the club. And if you really want your comments read during the show, you can use supers and stickers. Now, as close to on time as he gets, here's Johnny.
Where am I? Oh, there I am. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, I'm sorry I had to change over. There were people waiting and they were hanging out, and then I changed it because I actually hit the wrong button and I had to reset this whole thing. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's trash day for me, so it's Tuesday. That's how I keep the day straight around here. Thank you for joining us. Man, we got a ton to get to today. There is Doncic, Luka. He didn't play a ton of minutes because they played Utah, but they, for one night, made it work, and we'll see. And Anthony Davis is already hurt, so we'll discuss that. Lots to go over. Still some stuff from the Super Bowl as we give you the chalkboard. If you're new here, if you're watching on X, if you're watching on Instagram, thank you so much. That's at John Lund Radio. You can find me always, and please subscribe, like, and keep your alerts on. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube is the place to go because then you can hang out with all of our friends in a great community that we are growing every single day. John Lund Unleashed. But if you're watching on X, that's cool too, at John Lund Radio. Later, you might be listening where you get your favorite podcast, Apple, Spotify, and the such. Let me go over the chalkboard today for episode 60. The Warriors beat the Bucks last night, 125-111. I don't care if there wasn't any Giannis. We told you about the schedule, and it was going to be challenging regardless, but they are getting a break with no Giannis, no Anthony Davis, and they got to take advantage of it. Butler, they're 2-0. Jimmy, not a great shooting night, but getting to the free throw line, man, it is awesome. So we'll get into that. More Deebo as Adam Schefter speaks. I did do a piece yesterday and released it. It was for the Lund loyalists. It was there for about 24 hours, and then we made it live late yesterday afternoon. So go to johnlundunleashed.com for all things John Lund Unleashed. But we have a fancy, not only the video that I did, but all sorts of stuff from John Lynch and Deebo, and wrote it all up. And a lot of people are writing a piece of where he's going to go. I think it's a very nice piece in regards to that. So we'll get into that conversation more. Inside Outside is just Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry. Curry speaks. We'll play that for you. Why they'll get more for Deebo. I'm not down on the 49ers. If you joined us last night with Larry Krueger and the Krug Show, we were going back and forth. I'm much more optimistic about the Niners bouncing back than he is. I'll explain. Last thoughts on Super Bowl 59. I think Patrick Mahomes is getting far too much grief. It's hard to throw from your back. Everyone's excited for baseball. Maybe Giants fans aren't. I'll explain double agent Farhan. And, of course, we always do random thoughts. One thing before I do roll call today, and I apologize in advance, and I'll make it up to you. I have to leave the show today at 9 o'clock. I have a prior engagement that I have to help my lovely wife with. So I'm only going to be on for about 50 more minutes today. So let's get things going and let's get cranking and rocking and cracking, because we got a short period of time. But what I'll do is I'll come back later. We'll do some more stuff, keep your alerts on, and we'll make sure that we make it up to you, because I like to at least go 2.5, if not 3 hours. But I have an engagement that I have to hit up today. So just till 9 o'clock today, just so that we are aware. But sorry that I screwed you around there, and we had to actually hit a button, and then we had to redo this thing. So if you're just coming over, thank you for finding in this morning. It's all on me. Hurley Bird, good to see you, my friend. What happened? You know what? I went live accidentally. I got about 10 things. Hell, I got more than that. 1, 2, 3. I got like 20 windows open here on my computer, plus a laptop, plus a TV in front of me, plus an iPad here, and accidentally hit one of the buttons wrong and I had to re-rack this whole thing. So I apologize. I'm an idiot. Good morning, Danny Golden TV. By the way, hopefully, Danny, because I know you're a Lund loyalist, did you get an email from me? Because we're gonna do it like a Zoom, like 10 of us in a room and hanging out, not just chatting, but everybody on the board, and you can pop in and talk, and we're gonna do that. I want to do it by the end of the week. So let me know so that I can make sure that I bring value to the Lund Loyalist Club. So make sure if you didn't get that email, let me know and I'll resend it. Good to see you, Jazz fan. Good to see you, John Holmes, my good friend. I know you were in there last night. Great call by you, by the way. Hubie Brown, one of my favorites. Shout out to him. 90 plus years old, and he was just absolutely cranking it. Sports Girl for Life. Great to see you. Todd, you were there last night with the crew. Good to see you back. Tacky. Love to see you, man. Very, very good to see you. Pine Needle. Good morning. Joy, Gizmo. Everybody in the room today. Nathan, it is great to see you. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have a date after the show. I wish it was as good as that. But it's not. Doncic needs a gym membership. I know he's like Mahomes, man. They got dad bod, but somehow it works for those guys. So very, very cool for those guys. Good morning, Skills. It's great to see you, my friend. And look, I owe Skills one, so he doesn't have to pay for this. I passed that out my desk streamed. I was at a barbecue with Simon Cowell as a guest. He asked why I didn't visit or why I don't visit, and I remind him he lives in England. It's a good way to start the show. Boy, Simon Cowell. I didn't think we'd have a Simon Cowell reference. He's overdone his things. Oh, good morning, Nathan. And I owe you as a Lund loyalist as well. If you got an email, let me know, Nathan, because again, I want to do a whole thing. And what we're going to do, you can put up to like 10 people in this room on the video. And I want everybody to come in the Lund Loyalist Club. And if you haven't joined, please do, because you're getting a Trucker Hat Plus this month. You're getting a Trucker Hat Plus. We're going to do that live. And I think we got a couple more spots. So if you want to be part of it, that would be amazing, amazing, amazing. All right, let's get to things because, like I said, I've only got till 9 today, and I'll come back and I'll make it up to you because I love to bring value to the table for everybody. But let's start out with 125-111 as the Warriors get the win over Milwaukee. And the reason to me, this is huge, and look, we're 2 games into Jimmy, but so we're not going to overreact, but you only have what you have, right? You can only say, well, this is what is happening. So if you want to say, this is great or whatever, that's fine based on the things we know. And then nothing has changed to me. Essentially what has happened is they, first of all, the Warriors were deserving of some luck. So as we look at the schedule, you got Milwaukee, but you didn't have Giannis. You get Dallas, but you don't have Anthony Davis. And oh, by the way, man, they're just boycotting. I mean, they're boycotting. And I told you this was going to happen. I said, look, I lived in Texas. I know what is going to happen here. They're not going to go to the games locally. They're going to get pissed. It's football is king, and Luka brought him, and Dirk brought him. So I said that, but there's the schedule for the Warriors. They win in against Milwaukee. Tomorrow night, they're in Dallas. Nobody goes to the games anymore, and Anthony Davis is hurt. Houston, Sacramento, Dallas again. They're not going to have Anthony Davis. Charlotte stinks. Orlando injured. Sixers haven't been good. Charlotte, as I just said, stinks. New York's going to be tough. Brooklyn stinks. So they have a real opportunity here as they're now a game over 500 to win some games and try to get out of that spot. The goal is to get to the 6th spot. And so that's where the Warriors are as far as the schedule, and they get a break because of injuries. The thing I like from last night, and this is, everybody knew this, but we're going, oh, okay. So Jimmy Butler struggles. And usually if the Warriors are struggling, they're a one-dimensional offensive team. If they're struggling from the perimeter, they're not going to win games. But you look at last night, Jimmy Butler just goes 4 of 12, 0 of 2. So he's not a high-volume three-point shooter. 12 of 15 from the line. And the Warriors, 30 of 38 from the line. And Milwaukee, 25 of 34. So they go at the free throw line +5 as far as total points, 30 to 25 in the makes. And Jimmy Butler goes to the line a ton and goes 12 of 15. The first game, he goes 11 of 13. So if Jimmy's off, if the offense is off, Jimmy has the ability, and it's a skill to get to the free throw line, kind of slow things down. Everybody relaxes. It's not just jack. And then if something's going in, oh, man. So you can do all these different things. If you're the Warriors, they got inside, outside. Now, look, I'm not sitting there, and I said this the other day, kumbaya. I'm not, Jimmy and Draymond are going to get into it, but they're in the honeymoon period, and it's working. They've got Purdy right there, some injuries to some other teams. They've got a real opportunity right here with some buzz around him and Jimmy doesn't even know what the hell he's doing. And he can just, you can get to the free throw line on any team. It's a skill. So when there's constant complaints with the local broadcast about not getting in the line, not getting the line. Well, if you're 25 feet away from the basket, jacking the ball, not that that's a bad thing because they won championships doing it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not condemning it. But what I'm saying is if you have a guy on your team that can get to the line, it's not that the Warriors weren't getting calls despite the constant complaints with the broadcast. You didn't have a guy on your team that was skilled in it. And all of a sudden it's Jimmy Butler, and he knows how to get to the line. It's a skill. And so you look at things, if you look at a box score, for example, and you look at certain things that you're just not going to be good at, they were always going to get outscored from the free throw line. They were going to outscore you probably from three, but the free throws were always going to be a discrepancy. So you kind of do this without even looking at the score. A lot of times, this is what I do. I just look at certain key numbers and free throws. They were +5 last night. A lot of the year, they're -10. I'm talking about not only getting there, but just the makes. And so all of a sudden, you got Jimmy Butler doing that, opens things up. He's a great offensive playmaker. Wiggins may be a better defender at this point of his career, but again, Jimmy's going to effort. He's going to give you the energy. There's a huge part, and I tell you about chemistry all the time in all of sports. He's a chemistry guy. He's a playmaker on offense. He efforts hard on defense. He holds people accountable. So as long as there's not a blow-up between he and Draymond, so far so good, and the Warriors are 2-0, and that's where we are. Butler 2-0 on the board there, inside, outside. As far as the Doncic debut last night, there was just a bunch of energy in the building, and Anthony Davis is hurt. It's the whole reason you saw last night if you watched the game, and it was on ESPN, and they played the Jazz, who stink. But you just saw the energy. He was exchanging jerseys with Puka Nacua, and they had 77 jerseys all over the arena, and it's just he has the it. You know, he has the it. And for a night, LeBron let Luka be introduced last, and they shared the ball okay. And, you know, they blew out the Jazz. They stink. And I think Luka played like 24 minutes, had 14 points, like 5 assists. It wasn't so much the numbers or anything like that. It's just he has that it factor about him. I mean, he sat down. I don't know if you saw the interview, but he sat down with Jeanie Buss, their owner, and they said, okay, now it's about you. And they're already talking about different things Luka wants to do. So, look, LeBron's going to be available for right now. It's kumbaya. I don't know how easy or hard it's going to be to fit Luka in, but that's what he looks like in a Lakers jersey. And for one night, the Lakers look like, and they were saying this after the game when they were interviewing him, it was George Sedano on ESPN, and they could, you know, that buzz is kind of contagious. And as much as I don't like to do it, I'm like, ugh, man, you know, they could be something, but we'll see. But that was that. Before I go out to the lines, let me just get to some NFL stuff and play this for you. More Deebo. And again, if you go to the website right now, let me just pop it up for you. This is up there, and you can check everything out at JohnLundUnleashed.com. That is JohnLundUnleashed.com. These are I think this is right. Yeah. This is what I got up there right now. Where will Deebo go? I think it's pretty extensive. There's a lot of these pieces out there, but I think you should read this one. So let me just click on this. I've been telling you Deebo's gone. Now where is he going, and what will the 49ers get back? So there's a fancy video that I made live to everybody. There is the cap number, which is 15.87. Cut trade pre, they lose 15. Cut trade post June 1, which is what this is going to be. They're down $5.6 million. They're fine. There's John Lynch in terms of saying that we're going to keep Deebo. That was the end of the year presser. You can see that fancy video. There is Deebo asking for the trade. There's Deebo saying on locker clean out day, which was that Monday, no, man, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. And then there's the one thing there is, as you can see, last year there were so many good receivers coming into the league, Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas at Jacksonville there. And there's going to be 8 or 10 this year, but it's just not as high level of receiver. So even though Deebo is not Brandon Ayuk, there are a lot more teams that need, say, a number 2 receiver. So look at right there. The Bills, the Patriots, who never got any receivers, the Ravens, the Bengals, if T. Higgins leaves, the Steelers never got the receiver position right. The Texans, DeMeco Ryans is there. They only have Nico Collins because Stephon Diggs is not going to be back. Tank Dell ripped everything up in his leg. He's not going to be back for a while. The Chiefs, as you saw in the Super Bowl, need a second or maybe first receiver. The Raiders have a great tight end, and they have Jacoby Myers, who's okay. They need another one. The Chargers, which Jim Harbaugh would love to have a guy like Deebo, tough, physical, tone setter, outside of Ladd McConkey, they don't have anything. The Cowboys don't have anything offensively outside of CeeDee Lamb. I think the Commanders would be major, major players in this whole thing because Adam Peters was the vice president of player personnel when Deebo was drafted, so he was a big part of it. They have Terry McLaurin and not much else across from him. The Falcons, and that would be closer to home for Deebo, they have Drake London and not much for Michael Penix, their second-year guy, and they're not sending him to Seattle, but I'm hearing that Tyler Lockett's played his last snap in Seattle, and they might be looking to move DK Metcalf, which that's going to be interesting. DK and Deebo were in the same draft, and then I put where's Deebo going? I think at best, even though I think there's a better market than there was for Aiyuk, I think it could be like a 5th or a 4th round pick that based on performance could become a 3rd round pick for Deebo, just because there are so many teams and not as many players as there were a year ago for Brandon Aiyuk. So a lesser player in Deebo, but actually a better market, if that makes sense. And then I knocked it down to the Texans, Commanders, Steelers, Chargers, and Patriots. And even though Deebo wouldn't want to go to the Patriots are desperate to get somebody for Drake May, their young quarterback. And they might extend Deebo. So now Deebo's going, I'm listening. Yeah, I don't want to go to the Patriots, but you're going to give me an extension? Money talks, and I think Deebo would listen. So there you go. That is the piece right there. You can check that out at johnlundunleashed.com, fancy videos and all those kind of things. And for all things Unleashed, and we got the show going live. There you go. There's your host. That says video unavailable, but that's because, you know what? I'm the uploader, and that was the old video. So anyway, you can normally see the show live unless I screw it up. There's the blog. There's podcast. Yeah, video. I'm the uploader on that, so I'm the one who screwed that up because I did that right before the show to screw everybody up. But anyway, there's the latest on Deebo. Let me give you one more thing on Deebo. Here is Adam Schefter on with McAfee yesterday.
Teams that need wide receivers, there's so many of them, and there's still going to be so much wide receiver movement this offseason that I don't know. Like, what happens if T. Higgins leaves Cincinnati? Would he be an option there? What if Tyreek Hill gets traded from Miami? Is he an option there? What about
he's back. He's all in, isn't he? I thought Tyreek was all in. Didn't he say he took back his I'm out and his mom called him or something like that?
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, what did he say?
He says a lot.
I'm just saying there are a lot of outstanding. There are a lot of outstanding wide receivers.
Well said.
All right, enough. You're on national TV, man. This all happened during the pandemic, not to go off on a tangent here. But, I mean, I get it. Adam Schefter, you're in the back of a limo or something. Somebody's driving you. You're on your phone. I understand. You're a very busy man. But, my God, man, you're on ESPN on a national show like that. You're not even on – you can't even get a decent line. It's crazy. And then he starts going on different teams. He said what I just told you. I could be Adam Schefter insider. I just showed you on the website all these different teams. And so, although Deebo's not as good as Brandon Aiyuk, and he's going into the last year of his contract, there's negatives around it, and he's not as explosive at the age of 29, all those kind of things. There's a better market. As I just showed you all those teams, there's a better market for Deebo. And it's not going to cost the Niners a ton. They can still get a lot done. So I think maybe a 3rd-round pick could get that thing done. And Adam Schefter on a bad phone line just told you what I already told you. So I'm just letting you know. And that's the part where it says down there why they'll get more. So let's stop there for a minute and go back out to the lines. And again, we went through the Warriors pretty fast, but as I told you, if you're just jumping in, I got to jump out at 9 today. And so I'm doing a short show and zipping through some stuff, and I apologize. And I also apologize for having to move the show because I hit one wrong button. When I did that, it was literally 7:59. I'm like, God, I was going to be on time and everything. It was amazing. It was going to be one of those rare times where it was like right at 8 o'clock. And I set the show for 8 o'clock. Maybe you saw that before. I was like, this is beautiful. And then it was like, bing. I hit one wrong button. One freaking wrong button. And that screwed it. But anyway, that's fine. What are we saying about Deebo Samuel? I think it's going to be, let's see, here we go. Where are you getting your cap numbers? According to Lombardi, is Dito was traded before the for $32 million against cap. Post-June, $10 million. Let me go back to it because this is straight from in fact, you know what? I don't have to go back to it. I have it on my media thing here. Lombardi knows a lot more than me, so maybe Lombardi's right and I'm wrong, but I will just do this. I'll pop this up because I have it. This is the Deebo money. So the cap number this year, 15.87, cut pre. So you take the dead cap, 31.55, minus it by the cap savings. And if you trade him, cut or trade him pre-June 1, doesn't matter, cut or trade, 15.32 is what you hit. Dead money is 10.75 and a post-June 1. The cap savings of 5.117 for a 5.63 net negative for Deebo Samuel. That was according to over the cap. So that's where I got the numbers. Regardless, the point is, it's to me, it's potato semantics kind of a thing. It's going to be a post-June 1 designation. They're going to trade him somewhere. There's a really good market for Deebo, and they can get a decent pick for Deebo. Unless somebody has shown this picture right here from the side angle. He's not going to the Eagles. All these people he's going to the Eagles. They have Devontae Smith. They have A.J. Brown. They have a ton of offensive talent. He was wearing that. That's an A.J. Brown jersey, and they're best friends. That's why he was wearing it. He's not wearing it because he wants to go to the Eagles, though they wouldn't mind, but they don't need Deebo Samuel. He was just wearing that because he was at the Super Bowl. So that's not the reason. But I gave you a boatload of teams that he could possibly go to, which means it's a whole leverage ploy. And I'm not saying they're getting 1 or a 2. And I think eventually, I think at first they might get a 4 or a 5, but it might be a thing that could pop to a 3 unless they want the pick this year. If they want the pick this year, it's probably a 4 because remember, Davante Adams went for a 3. Is he worth more than Davante Adams? Davante Adams went from the Raiders to the Jets for a 3. I don't see Deebo getting more than that, even though, like I said, there is a big market. There's going to be a big market for receivers because although there are going to be 8 to 10 receivers drafted in multiple rounds that are going to be players who come into the league and contribute as rookies because that's what receivers do, which is why they shouldn't have given Brandon Ayuk an average annual value of $30 million. But let me explain that for a second, too, since we're here. Deebo Samuel's cap number is the highest among the receivers for the 49ers. This is the same thing that we need to learn about Brock, which is Ayuk's cap number next year is 11.2. It jumps in 2 years to like $44 million. He'll never see that number, so they're going to have to renegotiate. So when you see all these deals and the average annual value is 30, that's because there's 2 dummy years in the middle of this contract that are over $40 million against the cap, which he'll never see. They're going to renegotiate it before that. And that's when you know the contract's up. So everyone's like, oh my God, $30 million a year. Yeah, by the 4th year, it's at $44 million, and they're not having a cap number for a receiver at $44 million. Just like this year, George Kittle's cap number jumps from 12 to 22. They're not having a cap number of George Kittle at 22. They're going to redo the contract. So why that applies to Brock is very simple. Everybody's looking at the average annual value, which, like it or not, it's going to be in the 55 to 60 range. I guarantee you that when all is said and done, if not higher. But by the 3rd or the 4th year, it's going to be like $75 million, which might not be ridiculous at that point at the rate we're moving so fast with quarterback pay. But the first couple of years aren't going to be huge. So I'll just move this to I'm not down on the 49ers on the chalkboard because Larry and I were in a friendly banter way. If you were with us last night on the Krug show, which I do every Monday night with him, he was down on the 49ers. And I was simply saying, look, if you combine, I'm not saying they're the Eagles. They're not up with the Eagles. They're not up with the Lions. They're not up with the Packers. I think Minnesota is a really interesting case study in that they're letting Sam Darnold go. I talked to a number of people around the NFL the last couple of days. They're going to let him go. And they're going to go with J.J. McCarthy, who they took in the top 10, which I think is a massive risk. But what they're going to do is they're going to go with J.J. McCarthy. Darnold is possibly going to go to the Raiders. I wouldn't be shocked with the Rams with all this Darnold talk. Yes, please. Stafford gone, Darnold in. Nothing against Darnold. He's not Stafford. So anyway, there's going to be some musical quarterbacks in that way. But the number 4 Brock is not going to be massive right away. So they're going to be able to get Brock done. Either I like the kid Sherwood, the linebacker with the Jets, over Dre Greenlaw, but one of those 2 guys I think are going to be in. They can get Drew Dahlman, the center from Atlanta who went to Stanford. They can get him in. They can get a reasonable guard to replace Banks. Funga's not coming back. Ward's not coming back. There's certain guys who are just way outpriced for the Niners. Plus, Ward doesn't want to come back. Nothing personal. It's just with his off-the-field situation. His wife can't even step foot in California if you didn't see that. But point being is, with a last-place schedule, maybe I'm one of the few that has confidence in John and Kyle. I mean, after all, they have built this thing to a pretty decent pace, and they are, top heavy and all those things. The Trey Lance thing didn't work out. Brock didn't cover the 3 first-round picks that they gave up that are hurting the team right now. And I showed you yesterday how the Eagles were built. And look, I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but my point is that they will have enough money, and Parag Marathe is one of the best in the NFL at massaging the cap. They're going to be able to trade Deebo, sign Brock, sign a couple of interior offensive linemen, I believe, get the things done at linebacker that they need. Fred is still very effective. I like their corners. They probably need another. DJ Reed's name comes up because he's a former Niner that was in New York with Robert Saleh. Shouldn't cost you a ton. This Sherwood kid, I'm telling you, 154 tackles, runs. He's 25. He would be better than Dre Greenlaw. And again, Saleh has a connection. Maybe that number gets crazy, but linebackers normally don't get crazy money around the league. Interior offensive linemen don't get crazy money around the league. So those are positions the Niners can fill. And then I saw a thing, and I'm trying to get Daniel Jeremiah on the show. Daniel Jeremiah said that he's got 25 first-round grades on defensive linemen in this draft. He said last year it was about 12. So that's where the Niners need to go. They need an edge guy. They need interior defensive linemen. They do great in rounds 2 through 7. I said on Krug's show, I said it on our show yesterday, I would absolutely positively go out and get Myles Garrett. I'd trade 11 for it. And I hear this stuff about multi-firsts. He's not getting multi-firsts for a 30-year-old guy as good as Myles Garrett is. You're not. 11 is going to be the best they're going to get. Teams in the top 10 are not going to trade for him. Teams, the best fits for Myles Garrett. Remember, he continues to say, and he was on ESPN yesterday doing the car wash with Greenberg and everybody, I want to be on a winning team, want to be on a winning team, want to be on a winning team. Andrew Berry, their general manager, said, we're not trading him. Yeah, just like Pat Riley said about Jimmy Butler. I told you, you don't have to believe what these GMs are saying all the time. John Lynch said that they were keeping Deebo Samuel. In fact, do I still have that? I don't. I took it off the board from yesterday. But point is that he's going to say that to keep leverage on his guy. Teams that need him, Detroit, end of the first round. Kansas City, end of the first round. You know, he's not, I don't think he's going to Philly. They just won a championship and they really don't need him and pay that kind of money. The Commanders need him, end of the first round. So if you're going to get a first round pick in your Cleveland and that's the best you're going to be able to do, the Niners sit at 11. And in the John and Kyle regime, and I was reminded by, I think Steve, somebody reminded me of this, and because I forgot Ayuk's name, which I shouldn't have. I base success on a first rounder so they got to a second contract. The only ones who have gotten to a second contract for John and Kyle in the first round, Nick Bosa, who was a no-brainer pick at 2, and Brandon Ayuk, who I give him a ton of credit for. That's the only 2 good first-round picks. Kinlaw, no. Trey Lance, 3, no. Just go on down the line. McGlinchey didn't sign a second contract, so I don't love their track record in the first round. Give me Myles Garrett, and you can work out a contract. They can do, my point in saying all this is they can do all those things. They can, and sign Brock, because he's going to have a low number. Kittle, they're going to extend, re-sign. He's going to have a lower number than the $22 million. They can massage the cap. They can move some contracts around. Dre Greenlaw, it's going to be iffy. Hufanga, absolutely not. Ward, absolutely not. Yeah, there's questions around this team, but you put the schedule with the confidence I have and many don't in this front office and the way that they can draft. They just nailed the draft last year. They need to nail it again. And they're going to be back in this thing because they play one playoff team at home, and that's the Rams. And if the Rams, they already are getting rid of Cooper Kupp. If they're getting rid of Matthew Stafford too, then they're playing no playoff teams at home. They just don't play anybody. Now, they'll probably win 10 or 11 games based on that and decent health, because the football gods don't do that to you 2 years in a row with decent health and what I just talked about and the ability to do that, which they do. And the way that the draft folds, as I just told you, Daniel Jeremiah says there are 24 first-round grades on defensive linemen. What do the Niners need? Oh, defensive linemen. And they can sign offensive linemen, interior offensive linemen, in free agency, and that's not an outrageous number. So the way that things fold for them, and then throw on top of the fact that even though Deebo's not as good as Brandon Ayuk, the market is much, much better. And I think they're going to get a third-round pick for him. Maybe a fourth, but probably a third, because the market is the way that it is, and there's desperate teams like the Steelers and the Patriots who absolutely positively need him. There's 10 or 12 teams, if not more, who could use Deebo Samuel, even though he's regressed as a player. So it's a good market. So things are kind of cracking for them, and then you throw on top that it's Saleh and Gus Bradley on the defensive side, and they got a good special teams coordinator. I know everybody's down on the 49ers, and I know it's hip and cool, and it's not cool to say, hey, I'm optimistic. Not in the social media landscape. Everything's got to be, rah, 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 I'm angry and I'm mad and they can't do anything right. Well, this is a good organization, and I think they deserve the benefit of the doubt. Now, I'm probably in the minority in that, because people like to yell and scream, and it's no fun to. Did you hear what Lund said? He sounds like a homer. He sounds like Joey Blue Skies. Nah, that's not how I look at it. I'm just telling you the facts, and it's laying out pretty good. Now, there's a lot of work to be done. I'm not saying that, but where they need help is not overly expensive. And there's connections there. Deebo's thing, getting Saleh back, bad schedule. There's a lot of good reasons to be optimistic. Don't confuse that with they're up there with the Lions. Don't confuse that they're up there with the Eagles. They're not. I showed you how the Eagles were built the other day and what they've done. In fact, I'll pop that up there right now. I mean, this is their last 4 drafts. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean, Devontae, Dickerson, Milton Williams, who was great. They hit in the trenches 6 times. In 2024, they're going to be able to sign a Barkley and a Bond, which the Eagles did. Doubtful. A.J. Brown, they stole from Tennessee in 2022. And within the last, Jalen Hurts, they got 5 years ago. I look at drafts and windows in 5-year increments. Hurts is in that window. Plus Goddard and Maddox and Sweat in the 4th round. Mailata, their left tackle, they got in the 7th round. I mean, they're nailing it. Like I said, trench hits, Carter, Smith, Davis, Juergens, Dickerson, Williams, Sweat, Mailata, plus Lane Johnson was a first rounder in 2013 still playing. So, they've gone to the trenches, and that's where the Niners need to do. So the work that Philly does, don't confuse me with, I think they're Philly and Detroit and up there, but they're going to the playoffs next year. It's just a matter of, okay, once they get there, what can they do? Because the thing about them not having any money, they rolled over the $50 million. I've told you that. It's not as bad as things seem. That's all I'm going to say about that situation. All right, so that's where we are. I'm not down on the 49ers. I got some last thoughts on Super Bowl 59. Baseball soon, double agent Farhan, and we always do random thoughts. Let's jump out and see what people are talking about. I could be wrong, and you could be telling me I'm an idiot and I'm way too optimistic about things, but there are certain organizations who I think deserve the benefit of the doubt and certain ones who don't. And right now, for example, the Giants don't. Like, this is as optimistic, not to jump ahead to baseball soon, but this is as optimistic as I'm going to be on the Giants. I'm going to go down to spring training. I'm going to do live shows. I'm going to interview players. I like Bob Melvin. I like Buster Posey. He's always been a great guy to me. I told you yesterday, and I've told you before, we went to spring training when he was a floppy-haired kid at 12 years old, and Buster grabbed him in the clubhouse down in Scottsdale and said, "Who do you want to meet, man?" And walked him all around to Brandon Crawford and to Brandon Belt and to Bruce Bochy and to all these guys. And I was like, what a hell of a guy. So, I mean, I'm a Buster. I'm pro Buster, man. But I got to call it like I see it, and they don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They got Willy Adames and who? And there's still guys out there that they could add at the last minute, but they're probably not going to. I mean, this is what they have. So I'm not, I'm not in the business of giving teams the benefit of the doubt if they don't deserve it, but I think that they do. So that's where I am as far as that goes. Yeah, Jacob saying sell the Giants. I don't know if they're going to do that. Yeah, look, I'm not trying to be, like I said, I'm not on the Niners flagship. I don't get paid by the Niners. I'm just saying I want that to, that's how I feel about it. I think they're going to bounce back. There's a lot of positive things that says it, but it doesn't pay well a lot of times to be positive in this social media landscape that we live in. It's like, hate, they suck. Everybody gets angry. Everybody gets mad at you when you might spew something positive about a situation. Look, I use this term all the time, excuses, explanations. I don't think that injuries were an excuse. For some teams, it's like, dude, enough. But they between weirdness and injuries, and we forget so fast, they had a lot of those last year. And, like Brock bouncing back, for example. Brock tried to push the ball down the field too much, tried to take too many chances, and the reason why was A, he ran out of weapons. B, he didn't trust the defense. C, he didn't trust the special teams. So he's like, I got to put this on my shoulders. And Brock Purdy's not a guy that's going to put his team on his shoulders. No way. It's not going to happen. So are you saying, again, I go through random things. JT O'Sullivan does a great job breaking down the film. I need to have him on, and we'll pop film on and just have him talk on the show. I wonder if he would do that. He was tough to get on the radio. We tried to get him on a lot of times on the radio. It's like, busy because he's always busting down film. Maybe in the offseason it'll be a little bit easier, although he'd probably be looking at college. He's looking at college. Oh, that's rough. Deebo has a maternity jersey. Wow. Let me pop that back up. Where's the Deebo thing here? Wow, a maternity jersey. Yeah, it doesn't look great. I mean, like I said, I'm sitting here in a giant glass house. I don't know what my side profile looks like right now. Probably like that. But my God, yeah, you're a professional athlete. I'm not. Clearly, I'm not. But anyway, yeah, that's not great. That is not great. I'm looking at some of the things. Oh, before I get off football here, what is this one? Oh, yeah, okay. I'll do that when I do the Super Bowl again. Let me go into this one, and then I'll jump back out and read some comments. It's John Lund Unleashed, by the way. Thanks for joining us. We got to do a short show today, only until 9, and I will make it up to you. I promise. I'll make it up to you. I don't know who makes these dumb odds, and really what I should start doing is tracking these said odds. Aaron Rodgers is cooked. He's done. We all think because these guys can play into their late 30s and early 40s that everyone can do it. Brady's done it. Steph's doing it. LeBron's a freak. KD's doing it. All these guys, but they keep themselves in immaculate shape. They're not doing retreats with ayahuasca and all these different things. And Rodgers just looks old. He can't move in the pocket. He's still got good, not great arm strength. But part of his game was the athleticism that he played with, and he was coming off an Achilles, so maybe he's going to get better a year away from that. But the third team on that list, the 49ers, I can tell you 100% certainty, scratch him off the list. They love Brock. Unless he gets hurt, maybe they would look at him. But the ego between Rodgers and Kyle, do you think it's an afterthought that Kyle's quarterbacks have never been the high-profile types? Matt Ryan wasn't a high-profile type and talking back and all those kind of things. Jimmy wasn't, even though they bashed heads a little bit. Brock isn't. What they do is Kyle calls the plays. Kyle is in charge. Kyle is the alpha, and the quarterbacks run what is supposed to be run. So Aaron Rodgers' ego and Kyle Shanahan's ego would never coexist in the same room. Whoever made these odds is stupid. And you know what? If he comes here, then I'll totally say, "Wow, I'm an idiot." But the Steelers make sense, even though I think Rodgers should actually retire. But the Steelers make sense because both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields aren't going to get it done. The Raiders, the talk is Sam Darnold. I could see them going after Rodgers because I'm sure Pete Carroll has an immense amount of respect for him. That would make some sense. The 49ers, less than 0. I don't get where I just don't get where they get that. What are they saying that they're going to use that for leverage on Brock? I'm telling you, it's not happening. Rodgers and Kyle would be a horrible marriage. There's just no way. That arrogance that he has of I got this. I said this yesterday. The Jets have Tyrod Taylor's a free agent. And that's their top 2 quarterbacks. They have nothing at the quarterback position. Absolutely nothing at the quarterback position. And Sam Darnold's the best free agent out there. He's not going back to New York and play for the Jets. He's got PTSD from that. He said he was seeing ghosts. He's not going back there. So that's not happening. I have no idea. Vikings have J.J. McCarthy. What are they going to do? Have him sit another year? The Colts and Richardson, maybe. Richardson's not very good. The reason why L.A. is on there is because there's talk of Matthew Stafford leaving, and I that doesn't make any sense to me. So we'll see what happens. But I popped that up there mainly to tell you that he's not coming to the 49ers. No way. He and Kyle in the same quarterback room, not happening. Kyle wants buy-in. Kyle doesn't want drama. All the things that Aaron Rodgers brings to the table on and off the field, Kyle doesn't want. And Rodgers can't move anymore. He cannot move anymore, which is a big part of his thing. Now, maybe in the Achilles he comes back, but when I look at those odds, and nobody tracks them, and it's really fun to talk about on all these shows. Ooh, look at Vegas just came out with odds of this player is going to go here and this. Like they had Deebo odds, and it's you don't know what Deebo wants. You don't know what the Niners want. You don't know what there's honestly Deebo has a huge market because he's not a number 1 receiver, and I showed you that. And you can go to JohnLundUnleashed.com for it. He's not going to be a 1. He might not even be a 2 at this point in his career. But there's a bunch of teams out there that need help at wide receiver, and what he could provide. Jim Harbaugh would love a tone setter. John Harbaugh would love a tone setter. There's a lot of teams that would say, I could figure that out. And then there's the desperate teams like the Steelers and the Patriots and the Commanders. And there's a lot of teams, and there's guys around the league. DeMeco Ryans, I think he fits hugely in Houston. Tank Dell is out all of next year probably. Stephon Diggs, they did not have a good experience with. He's not coming back. They have Nico Collins. And they have a young quarterback in C.J. Stroud, and they want to win now. And while Deebo doesn't fit around here anymore, if he had a great number 1 X, take some pressure off, or guys like that, they have a good run game in Houston, then Deebo fits in. He fits in for some teams. He's going to play with a chip on his shoulder. I think he's going to be better. He just doesn't fit around here anymore. And I've been telling you that for months, and everyone's like, no, they're going to keep him. They're going to keep him. There's a market for him. It's just not here. And so they're going to get something better than what people think for Deebo. So anyway, I keep bouncing back to more. We're at more Deebo right there. Why they'll get more, I keep bouncing back. Not down on the 49ers. Last thoughts on Super Bowl 59. Let me play this for you. Just because I saw this yesterday, and I just went, there's just no – I like Travis Kelce. He's a really nice player, except for what he wore to the Super Bowl. And if you lose the Super Bowl, you look like a complete jackass in that disco outfit that he had yesterday. And look, whatever. I did a Bill Belichick the other day. I shouldn't talk about people's fashion because look at me. I mean, I'm not a fashionista. Not at all. But the effort he gives on this play. Now, it has to be explained because I saw people freaking out all over social media. This is a screen pass to the right. So he's supposed to block a little bit and then turn and catch the ball on a screen to the right. But I got to be honest, I've never seen George Kittle half-ass a play like this. This is not, you have to get in front of the guy for a second. And then that's one point of this is you're watching to the right side. And you may have to play this twice. But look to the right side of the screen. Nolan Smith just crushes Mahomes because Kelce's like, whatever. But it is a screen, so it's a little bit different than just getting beat off the jump. But then everybody's all over Patrick Mahomes and, what does this do to Mahomes' legacy? This was Mahomes all day long. He didn't have a chance. Look at this. Watch the right side of your screen here. Watch it again because that came up pretty fast. See ya. How's he even supposed to throw a screen right there? Let me play it for you one more time. Look at Kelce. Like, what? That was all day long. Oh, Mahomes stinks. Mahomes stinks. Mahomes stinks. Mahomes stinks. He couldn't even get a screen pass off because Kelce's just like indifferent to the whole thing. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. There's no question. I'm not saying he's not, but that's just silly. I mean, see ya. It's just silly. So there's two things to that in my mind. Number one, Kelce's just like, whatever. And it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if he retired. He wasn't good in that game. It's not going to affect his legacy. He's Travis Kelce going to the Hall of Fame, but he was terrible in that game. Number two, Patrick Mahomes, go back and just watch it a little bit. Maybe you don't want to, but he's under pressure all day long. And so what that does is then you become Brock Purdy-ish. Like you're no longer Patrick Mahomes. That's like the kryptonite of every quarterback, the kryptonite of every single quarterback in the history of the game. Is it when a four-man rush can get to you like the Eagles got to Patrick Mahomes, and it makes you an average and below average quarterback. So I'm not saying he played well. I mean, he made dumb decisions, and the interception of Cooper DeJean, there's 7. The interception Zach Bond got at the 10, there's 14. And they just had him thoroughly confused, but it was because they got there with 4, dropped 7, and Mahomes is under pressure all day long. That's not on Mahomes. It's a team game. Mahomes never did it on his own. He's a great quarterback. He's one of the best of all time, and everybody's sitting there, is he the best? Does this hurt his legacy? Tom Brady lost Super Bowls. I know that Joe's the only one not to, but their offensive and defensive lines were criminally underrated. Plus the West Coast offense, that ball's out of your hand. So some of it's on Andy Reid. When we give praise to the Chiefs, we praise Andy Reid, we praise Patrick Mahomes, we praise how smart and creative they are. Well, Vic Fangio knew all those things, and Patrick Mahomes couldn't even get his head around before there's pressure. He's not going to be a good quarterback on those days. He's going to be a below average quarterback. That's what the rush does. That's what 2 Super Bowls ago against Tampa Bay did. They got there with 4. Tampa never blitzed either. I went back and looked at it. Tampa never blitzed in their Super Bowl win over the Chiefs. The Eagles never blitzed in their Super Bowl win and dropped 7 and had constant pressure. And it's somehow on Mahomes, like he stinks all of a sudden. He doesn't stink. In fact, if he does, hey, Kansas City, we'll take him. Yeah, you want Brock and like a couple of first-round picks? Sure. You want, I don't know. You want Fred Warner? You want, like, I'll take Mahomes. That's fine. He doesn't stink. That's not on him, and it doesn't hurt his legacy because they couldn't protect him in the pocket. It takes a team. And so I'm going to relate this to Brock. You know, they don't have great weapons in Kansas City. Travis Kelce's getting older. They didn't have a run game. And everybody looks at Mahomes like, well, he's supposed to be able to just be magic and do it all. It doesn't work like that. It's never worked like that. And even though Joe Montana never lost a Super Bowl or never looked like that in a Super Bowl, he did in championship games beforehand. Because why? Because Leonard Marshall, because Jim Burt, because the offensive line couldn't protect him. It never happened in the Super Bowl, but it doesn't lessen Joe. And it doesn't lessen Mahomes. You won't even remember that. Brady wears 7 rings around. Oh, the Giants beat him twice. Boy, that really damaged his legacy. The only thing it did is make Eli maybe a member of the Hall of Fame, which he shouldn't be. But it didn't do anything to Brady. He's fine. But there was a couple of Super Bowls where they couldn't protect him. He played Seattle, the number 1 pass defense, and they shredded him with quick crossers right over the middle, and Seattle couldn't get there in time. Like, there are certain game plans. That's on Andy Reid. That's on the Chiefs. That's on the Chiefs offensive line. Joe Thuney, their all-pro left guard, was playing left tackle. And those aren't excuses. Those are facts. So I don't want to sit here and defend Mahomes. It doesn't matter whether he played well or whether he didn't. That's, in the Super Bowl, that's going to be a footnote. But if they come back and he wins another one, and I say this to you all the time, I don't care who's considered the best. If Joe's your best, cool. It's your list. It's not Screaming A's list. It's not Barkley's list. It's not this guy's list or that guy's list. Who cares? Did you see the list that guy had? Did you see the rankings that guy had? Who cares? Who cares? They're yours. If you have Joe 1, I can live with that. You have Mahomes 1, I can live with that. You have Brady 1, I can live with that. Like, it's your list. You're the one. You watched it. You know, if you didn't see certain players, like I can't sit and I don't know if Bart Starr was any good. I didn't see Namath in his prime. I can't, there's different eras, different rules. Like this whole thing about who was the best and who belongs on Mount Rushmore. Good for you. Everybody's got their own. I don't care what Dan Orlovsky says. I don't care in baseball what the Shredder says. I don't care. Like I've seen it. And the best three that I've seen enough of are Brady, Montana, and Mahomes. And I don't know what order, and I don't know who's on a Mount Rushmore. I have no idea, and I don't care. And I don't care what anybody's list is, and I don't care what Screamin' A's list is, and I don't care. And I'm not going to get into a debate about it because I know that Mahomes didn't have a chance on Sunday. And when Travis Kelce gives effort like that, I'm like, what the hell is Mahomes supposed to do? Even on a screen. Like, look at this. Are you kidding? He's got 4 guys in there. Everybody's letting their guy go on a screen. And Kelce's kind of like, And then people try to tell me that he's on a par with Kittle. I've never seen Kittle have a rep like that. Never, ever, ever. You can't just olay the guy and turn around. Like, what are you doing? But that's on Mahomes. Mahomes stinks. Okay. Don't make me defend Mahomes. Jeez. That was brutal. Kittle's never had a rep like that. Never, ever, ever had a rep like that. Never. Anyway, not defending Mahomes, just saying. I'm not a list guy. It's not that I don't want to have a spirited conversation about who's the best or who's this or who's that, or it's a fun conversation to have, but it's kind of like an unanswerable question. It's kind of like evolution. I don't know who's the best. What are the rules? Guys couldn't touch guys in certain ways. That's why, Jerry was the best because there was physicality, all these different things you could do, and Jerry still did what he did. And it's amazing what he did. But you could also say, well, Jerry had Montana, and Jerry had John Taylor, and Jerry had Brent Jones, and Jerry had Roger Craig, and Jerry had Ricky Waters, and Jerry had, nobody does anything without other guys around him, even Jerry Rice. Like if it was just Jerry Rice and Joe Montana and there was 11 guys on defense, they wouldn't be very successful. But they had a great offensive line, which is vastly underrated. Guys like Harris Barton and Steve Wallace and all those guys, they were awesome. And the defense for the Niners, criminally underrated. Like it was all complimentary football. They played great ball. And Joe was a part of it. And they should all be in the Hall of Fame. And they're all great. It's just when I hear yesterday that Mahomes was terrible by people who should actually know better, look at the line. It was awful. Look at Kelce. It was awful. Look at the, they never adjust. Here's this rush coming. Get rid of the ball. Quick crossers like the Patriots did against the Seahawks years ago in the Super Bowl. They knew that Seattle was going to crush and bring the guys they had in the Legion of Boom. They were going to have Brady hold the ball. Boom, 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 boom. And some of it, like Xavier Worthy's your best receiver. I'm sorry. The Kansas City Chiefs had 12 one-score games, the most in history. It's weird to say this about a team that won as many games and was in the Super Bowl, that they weren't that good. Philly was really good, especially on that day, but Mahomes didn't have a lot to work with. It's not an excuse. It's a fact, and they played that way. Yeah, Steve Wallace and his giant cap. Remember that? Before they had the stuff that they have now, Steve Wallace is like, hell no. There were times when Patrick had numerous times to throw and he was out of pocket and he screwed up and panicked, couldn't get the job done. I'm not saying he didn't play well. I'm not saying that he didn't start panicking. I'm not saying that he didn't do the whole Sam Darnold ghost things. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying if people say, and they did, a lot of them, that it was all on Mahomes, then you didn't watch the same game I watched because guys couldn't get off coverage. But, here's the other thing, too, and this is not being talked about nearly enough. The Niners in Super Bowl 54 did that to him. Same thing. Had the 2 interceptions. Mahomes walking off the field going, I don't see it. I don't see it. And he got lucky on one play, and the offense didn't take advantage enough. They should have won Super Bowl 54. They did the same damn thing to Mahomes for most of that game. And then last year in Las Vegas, we sat up there, and it was the best defensive performance that Steve Wilkes had put together. But you know what? Instead of taking advantage, Tupper DeJean with a pick six and Zach Bond, and you scored a touchdown, the Niners only scored like 10 offensive points. They were the defense was on the first 10 possessions of the game. The defense did the exact same thing the 49ers did that what the Eagles did on Sunday, but the 49ers didn't score offensively. Do you remember when Christian McCaffrey, we don't want to say negative things, remember when McCaffrey fumbled on the first possession? Like of all the things, Dre Greenlaw, the punt hitting, hitting Ray, which to me was the turning point because he got an easy touchdown and got confidence. That never happened in the Philly game. If that punt doesn't happen, I know we do this all the time, but McCaffrey's fumbled. They're up 7-0. They're Kansas City's looking around going, what the hell's going on? They score a touchdown there, like Philly did right out of the gate. They scored on their first possession. It's totally different. They needed to score points. It wasn't their defense. It was at the end when you knew when Jake Moody kicked the field goal and then Mahomes scored a touchdown at the end. You knew Mahomes was going to do that. But it's just you can't be within a touchdown or, 3 points, 7 points, 4 points of Mahomes at the end. You can't do it. It's a problem. All right, I got a few more minutes. And like I said, I apologize that we have to cut things short today. But just one other thing, and let me get back out because I want to do this Farhan thing before I get out of here. And also, like I said, I owe you one. So we'll go longer later in the week. I will say this, John will let somebody disagree and not rip them. That's what I love. Like I say this all the time, and I'm not saying it for the effect, and I'm not saying it for like, oh, cool. I think it's cool that people say, hey, man, what about this or what about that? And I don't, not only do I not think I know everything, I don't think I know anything. And so what I think is fun is people say, well, what about this or what about that? What I'm trying to create here on the show, and I don't want to make the show about the show, but what I am trying to create as we're growing this thing is, if you're sitting with your buddies or girlfriends or whatever, and you're at a bar and you're hanging out and there's a game on, or you guys are just talking sports or talking life in general, it doesn't have to be sports around here. We can disagree. It's totally cool. Now, I'm not going to talk about politics because I've learned through the years, you used to be able to do that in sports radio and sports talk and all these kind of things that we're doing on YouTube and everywhere else and X where we are. That divides people. It divides my family. It's very divisive. My mom has different viewpoints than I do, and we just don't talk about it. I love her more than ever, but we just don't talk about it. I've learned really ever since the pandemic that I really don't go down that road, and we can go down a lot of different roads, but that's one I won't. But as far as sports go, again, this is not math. 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 4. I could be wrong on Brock. I could be wrong in bringing Myles Garrett in. I could be wrong to give the benefit of the doubt to the Niners. I could be wrong that this is as optimistic as I'm going to feel about the Giants all year. Maybe they surprise us. I could be wrong about Jimmy Butler and the way things have started. Like, this is all, you throw it up in the air, and that's the fun of sports, right? We get in front of the TV on Sunday, and we say, this is going to be a great Super Bowl. And then the Eagles blow up the Chiefs 40-22. I'm sorry, I didn't see anyone predict that. I didn't see anyone predicting that Mahomes was going to struggle and the D-line was going to dominate like they did for the Eagles. And I didn't see an 18-point win. And to be honest with you, it wasn't even that close. This was like a 30, 40-point blowout was what this game was. I didn't hear anybody say anything about that. Nothing. So I didn't say it. So for me to sit here and act like I have all the answers, I'm plugged into a lot of things. I have instincts because I've been a reporter and a beat guy, and I know some people and things like that. So I'm trying to give you an educated guess on all this stuff, but I can't see in the future. I'm not clairvoyant. I'm terrible at betting. I'm just telling you that based on certain facts, it's almost like Vegas. There are certain odds why I think this is going to happen or that's going to happen, or I've got an educated opinion on things. But I don't know everything, let alone anything, let alone everything. And then I'm not afraid to say on this show, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there, or I'm wrong here. I will more than welcome people saying, hey, Lund, you got that one wrong. I got no problem with that. Because, like I said, I used to sit on the air, on the radio for 4 hours, 5 days a week. So 20 hours a week, 80 hours a month. I'm not going to hit everything. I'm not going to say everything right. And I just try to entertain, have fun, give you an educated opinion, give you some thoughts because I know a few people here and there, and that's it. And whether I'm right or wrong, it's just, I don't pound the table about right or wrong. I know that in these talking head shows, I was right. We're worse than like the 3rd round, 8th round, 5th round in the draft. There was no 8th round. But it's like, first round, you're 50-50 in the NFL draft. From there, it just goes like that. And that's all of our opinion. But we just like to have fun in here. That's all I'm trying to do. We're just trying to have fun. The only thing I won't tolerate is hate. We're not going to tolerate hate in this room. We have a lot of fun. And we take sports for what it is. It's not war. It's not hunger. It's not politics. It's not life and death. We're really passionate around here, and this is a passionate sports city. And if you're from somewhere else, absolutely. And I don't mean to go on a diatribe here, but that's just how I look at sports. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I'm right all the time, or crow only maybe in a funny, fun way that I was right. But a lot of times I'm not, and it's cool, man. And you can call me out anytime you want. And you can say that you disagree with me anytime you want. Because that's what we're here for, to just have a bunch of fun. So anyway, all right, soapbox done. I hope I put this on we're going to just finish up at 9 o'clock because my wife's going to kill me here if I don't do it. So we're at 9:01. So I got to go here in a second. But I promise you, I will make this up to you that we're short today. I apologize. I feel bad about it, but I do have to do this. One quick thing. Maybe I don't have this on Farhan. Oh, there it is. So I see this yesterday from Bob Nightingale, who's not my favorite Major League Baseball insider. The Dodgers signed another free agent. Oh, Bob, you're just so funny. This time, executive Farhan Zaidi fired blah, blah, blah. And then I wrote, Farhan was for sure a secret double agent for the Dodgers. Let him have that one season in 21 in exchange for ruining the Giants franchise for 10 years. At least Buster threw away half the computers and kicked some nerds to the curb. It's a start. They're not going to go anti-analytics. I'm just kind of half, but he did. He did shut down that room, and he did kick some nerds to the curb. That is a fact. But how about Farhan? Oh, my God. Just goes right back to the Dodgers. And then they're going to win a bunch, and they're going to go, oh, Farhan was great. And their team's going to give him a chance. And maybe he'll be like, Mike Shanahan got fired by Allen, was really good in Denver. So maybe he'll do that, but I can't handle it. He was a double agent. There's no question about it in my mind. There you go. All right. I'm sorry that I had to cut things short today, but we got to jump. But I promise that I will make it up to you. So, hi, Mick. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. What I'll do is I promise I'll make it up to you. If you just keep your alerts on, I'll tell you when I'm going to jump on. We'll try to jump on again today. Post-game shows, breaking news. Go to JohnLundUnleashed.com. We got a bunch of great blogs up there. I owe you a blog and a story of the day, so we'll come back and we'll do that. Tomorrow we'll do an extra long show on the Wednesday hump day version of the show. And we got a ton of different things to do. So we will absolutely 100% make it up to you that I had to jump today a little bit early. And if I get some time later in the day, we'll jump back on. By the way, Lund loyalists, make sure that you've gotten an email from me, because later in the week, we're going to do, at whatever day works, whatever time works for you, we're going to put everybody in the room and do kind of like a Zoom call. So if you want to be a Lund loyalist, joining in the next couple of days would be cool. Plus, if I haven't gotten your email because you want to get yourself one of those hats, and I've got the store coming up, but one of these trucker hats that I'm giving to all the Lund loyalists, make sure that I have your email. So if you go to JohnLundUnleashed.com and you do contact, hit me up on contact there. Tell me what time works better for you if you're a Lund loyalist, and also make sure I have your email and then your address, because I want to be able to send you a hat. So that's part of things. JohnLundUnleashed.com. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Please make sure you subscribe and have your alerts on, please, so that I can hit you up when I'm on next, so you don't miss anything. On X and Instagram, thank you for joining us today for a short show at John Lund Radio. Appreciate everybody hanging out. We'll be better tomorrow, I promise. Thank you, Hurley-Bird, Tacky, Joy, Mike, AJ, Pine Needle, Nathan, all you guys. Oh, by the way, let me do this before we get out of here. I want to make sure that I hit everybody up. You can always contribute to the show. Thank you, Nathan. You're on the Lund Loyalist Club. Please make sure that I have your information. And thank you, Daniel. You're always great to me. Hopefully, like I said, I can only do what I can do. I was told long ago, I did an interview. Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate it. I learned a long time ago. I did an interview. I know you're not going to probably know this name, but years and years ago, I was in school, and there was a guy who I really liked, did sports radio in Phoenix. His name was Tony Famino. And I did an interview as part of a project with Tony. And he said to me, "You're on the air." He goes, "Let me give you the first piece of advice I got." He goes, "You're on the air way too much to not be yourself. So don't be somebody else, because you're going to have to remember who that person is." And it's like, now I do have a different personality, a little bit off the air, but this is kind of who I am. I might be a little bit more quiet off the air because I'm loud and obnoxious and talk too much on this part of me. But so I'm a little bit different in that way, but I am who I am, and I can't be somebody else. And so I'm not a guy who's going to scream and yell. And, I'm passionate about things. Don't get me wrong. But I did mornings in Detroit for years, and it really wasn't my market. They like people are negative and screaming and yelling and angry, and that really wasn't who I was. So I'm on the air way too much to not be who I am. I just believe in differing opinions. I believe in having a lot of fun. I believe in laughing at things. I believe in putting sports in their proper perspective. So anyway, I'm off the diatribe on that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Don't even mention caramel coffee, because I know what you're going to do, AJ. You're going to get me on a tangent. My wife's going to get mad at me. I got to jump, but I love you all very deeply, and I will make it up to you on episode 61 and beyond. So make sure that you are hitting us up, making sure that you're on JohnLundUnleashed.com, John Lund Unleashed on the YouTube page, and keep those alerts on, likes, comments, all those kind of things.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!